So let's just start off by saying, yes, another Porsche. The next one probably won't be, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm not even sure what I'm going to build after this one myself, so we'll see what happens. Now for the base, I'm going to use the same Tamiya kit as I used the last time, as the C1 model's body is molded on that kit as a base, so that's a nice point to start off with. The body is really nicely molded on the top surface, no real bubbles or major imperfections. Some of the panel lines need a bit more depth in them, but not a real big hassle in that. Also, the over fenders are missing some of the rivets or the indents where they are supposed to be, so you need to locate those and drill them out a bit to show them if you're going to use them at all, and otherwise it's fine. This kit also comes with the conversion for the front and tail lights, as this is a 964 and not a 993 as the base kit. Also the standard decals that come with all these RWB kits, and the photo etch sheet. For the rear there is also a conversion piece for the spoiler, as the 993 does not fit onto this one and it will on this conversion piece. The wheels are also from C1 models. These are new gen light wheels. I thought these would look pretty cool on this a bit more classic body style Porsche. They're going to be a nice dark color, so won't stand out that much. So, as I talked about earlier, I'm going to use the same base kit, not going to go into detail, and also found another bag of parts. This also came with the C1 kit. It's some spoiler pieces, some taillights, or some headlight buckets, and some other small pieces all around. Now I'm going to modify this one a small amount, as I'm not going to use the spoiler that came with the kit, nor the one that came with the C1 kit. I'm going to cut off the spoiler from a Fujimi 964 1991 Porsche Turbo and try to graft that into the C1 body. It took a lot of work to cut this spoiler off cleanly and make it fit into the 964 body from the C1 kit, but I'm not going to really bother you by that in real time, so I did a time lapse on the whole thing just to show you how I go about doing this and how long it actually took, for a bit of a reference, so you know that it does take a lot of time to build these models, but it is well worth it in the end. In order to make this spoiler fit the kit a bit better, it was a lot of time spent sanding, fitting, sanding, filling, sanding, some more fitting, some more sanding, some more filling, some cutting, some sanding, and then adding some pieces to make it fit tightly against the body and have it smooth in there and the way it's supposed to look. With the spoiler now being able to go into the proper position, I sanded it a bit more to make it flat for the plastic pieces I'm going to add to fill it in, so that the panel lines look proper, and then I'm going to test fit it again, add some more, and then shape those to fit the rest of the piece. The spoiler now fits nicely onto the body, so I'm going to add the edge of the wing as well, and then graft that into the rest of the spoiler to make it into one clean piece. On the real one, the stock version, it's supposed to be flat black, but I'm going to go with a smooth all body color version for mine. Now the panel lines, as mentioned, needed a bit more depth, so I just took out my X-Acto blade and then made it a bit deeper, a bit wider all around, and then the major work started on cleaning off the over fenders. Now right at this point you might be thinking to yourself, cleaning off the over fenders? Well, yes, cleaning off the over fenders. I know this is an RWB and these are supposed to look like this, but I found another picture online and completely fell in love with it. So this is what I'm going to build, and in this case I'm going to need to clean off the over fenders. Now this took about 20 minutes per quarter on each side, so I'm not really going to bother you with all this footage at once. I'm just going to do one in a time lapse, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So after 20 minutes of sanding that with some 180 grit sandpaper, you're left with a smooth wide body. I went over the rest of the body with some 600 grit after, of course, finishing off all 3 others, and then moved on to primer. Now this is just one coat of primer I'm adding here, just mainly focusing on these over fenders. I did an entire coat as well, but this one is mainly to focus on these over fenders as I put in a lot of deep scratches, sanded them for a long time, so I'm just going to be checking if I left any streaks from the sanding and if they are really as smooth as I want them to be. Now in the end they were not really the cleanliness I wanted them to be, so I just sanded them smooth, added some filler, added some super glue to some tiny spots, and then just sanded them smooth again. Went over it with another 2 or 3 coats of primer until I was fully happy. Now I'm not going to show these other 3 coats of primer as it's really boring, just doing the same thing 4 times over, so I'm just going to spare you with that. In the next video we will start with painting it, and for the rest of this video just enjoy me primering it.